Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The transfer portal continues to heat up as TCU continues their magical season and lands a massive commitment in the transfer portal as JoJo Earle, the former Alabama wide receiver, a former dude who was a top 50 player in his class and number 6 wide receiver in the country, coming out of the 2021 class, commits to the TCU Horned Frogs and Sonny Dykes. And I'll just start out by saying I cannot blame this kid for looking at what Sonny Dykes has done with this TCU offense and saying, I want to go play for that offense. Alabama was, in my mind, just not a very well coached offense this year. They had a lot of talent. They just could not put it together. And everything that seemed to be working for Alabama was just broken plays by Bryce Young. JoJo Earle, I think, is still a dude. He's 2 years removed from high school and 2 years removed from being a high 4-star top 50 player nationally. But I think he's got some great game. Before we get into what he is as a player and what he might mean for this TCU program, I just want to say thank you guys for the support. Again, we've talked a lot of TCU football. They've been putting on a magical season. And if you guys enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate all the support for real. And the best way to support the boys is to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys. Let's get into JoJo Earle. So a little bit of an interesting guy. 5'10", 170 pounds, coming out of high school. But he is about as elite as it gets with that short area quickness and with the ball in his hand. He was a little bit of a specialist at Alabama last year as a true freshman. And then this year, just again, I think it was more of a product of not JoJo Earle not being a capable football player, more of just Alabama really struggling to get anything consistent going through the air with Bryce Young. They've struggled to pass protect. I feel like a lot of that offense just struggled to find any consistency, and he's going to go to a program that has a proven track record right now over this year with getting elite players in space. You look at what this TCU program and how that offense was so successful. It was successful with getting guys out in space who were very good athletically and making dudes miss. And I think JoJo Earle is going to be just perfect for that offense, and Sonny Dykes adds another massive weapon. You're probably losing Quentin Johnson to the draft, but JoJo Earle commits to TCU, and Chris Marshall, the transfer from Texas A&M, a former high 5-star top 20 player nationally, also slated in crystal ball to go to TCU, who's more of the Quentin Johnson-esque guy. This guy, JoJo Earle, 5'10", not that big of a dude. Chris Marshall, 6'3", burner and straight line speed. Definitely looks like Quentin Johnson coming out of high school. So I want to get into a little bit of what JoJo Earle does, and we're going to go back to his high school days. And again, freshman year at Alabama. He was a smaller kid, kind of buried in the depth chart with guys like Jamison Williams, John Mechie. And then this year, I feel like it was just kind of a product of him not being in a great offense. Let's take a look at what he brings to the table as a high school kid. And he has one of the most fun high school tapes to watch. He's a human joystick out there. Like, after he catches the ball, he's just elite in space, making guys miss. The acceleration, the straight line speed is there. But I think more importantly, he's just a guy that's very, very good with the ball in his hands, kind of like Darius Davis or Tay Barber, who've been making some noise for TCU this year. I think this guy's as good, but I think he's a little bit more talented than them, especially when you see like kind of a complete wide receiver. At times, guys like Darius Davis, more of just a speedster. JoJo Earle is he's just athletic and just electric with the ball in his hands. You see him taking a little wildcat there. Kind of does it from all over the field. He's got good ball skills as well. You go up, you see him just go up and catch him, like, plays a little bigger than his size as well. And again, when you look at TCU, they had just so many ways they could hurt you on the offensive side of the ball. You look for that continued success. JoJo Earle is going to add to that. I mean, he's very good after the run, as you see there. He's kind of a physical dude. Even though he's a little smaller, he's very physical and he's very tough. And I really do think he's going to be an absolutely great addition to this TCU team. And TCU obviously having a magical season this year, but when you look at that Big 12, it is gettable. Texas and Oklahoma out of the picture now. Not that they were – I mean, TCU is running that conference. They were pretty clearly the best team in the Big 12 this year. I mean, the Big 12 is up for the taking. Again, if you add Chris Marshall as well, this team is dangerous. Max Duggan comes back, Kendra Miller. They have some dudes who are very, very good on the offensive side of the ball, and they add another one in JoJo Earle, who I think – is going to be a massive, massive get. And keep your eyes peeled for Chris Marshall, also coming from Texas A&M to join this TCU team. I think what you're seeing is these top-ranked guys who went to maybe bigger programs, who had more NIL to offer, they're looking at this TCU offense and saying, that's where my skills are going to be utilized the best. and that's where they want to go play for. So they're hitting the transfer portal, and if they're from Texas, I think TCU is having a strong argument to attract some of the top guys from Texas to stay in state, not go to Texas, not go to Texas A&M, but to come to TCU, because this offense under Gary Patterson, as good as Gary Patterson was, and I think a lot of the TCU Horned Frog fans would say like nothing bad about him. Well, he did go to Austin, but he was very good for TCU for years. And I think what the TCU administration kind of came to a conclusion is he's kind of hit a ceiling there. And the game is changing. You have to have like a powerful offense to make noise on the national landscape. And Gary Patterson is a more defensive-minded coach who wasn't really willing to do that. They go bring in Sonny Dykes, who is an offensive whiz to probably best describe him. And you're seeing this team just explode on the offensive side of the ball. And now I think these Texas kids who are looking where you want to go to school, Texas A&M's offense ain't looking too hot. I mean, TCU is a team right in your own backyard that has a very, very fun offense, has a coach that is going to utilize your talents. And I think TCU could really, really get hot, not only in the recruiting trail or the transfer portal, but also on the high school ranks. And again, if TCU wants to remain a top 10 team nationally and kind of remain in that national media spotlight, got to be able to recruit high school Texas football. I think Sonny Dykes will be able to do that. He's been in Texas for a little bit. This is an exciting program, getting an exciting player, and hopefully for TCU fans, Chris Marshall will soon be to follow. Again, stay tuned for that. We'll definitely do a video because I really do like Chris Marshall's game. Just didn't work out for him at Texas A&M, but that dude is a very, very talented ball player. Again, appreciate you guys checking us out. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate it, and we'll talk to y'all later.